Oh my god, you guys really killed it with the questions this year, and I'm really excited to answer these. Hey guys, I'm Ancient Designs and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's towards the end of the year, so that means it's time for my annual Q&A, which I do it towards the end of the year, every single year, hence annual. So I went and asked all of you over on Instagram, Facebook, and my community tab to ask me some questions that maybe you're curious about, and I would answer them in a Q&A video. Honestly, we had some really good questions and quite a lot this year, so let's just get right into them and start off with the questions from the community tab. So this was one comment that had 2 questions, and the first one is, what serger do you use and would you recommend it for someone who's new to serging? So I use a brother machine, specifically the 423 4DT. It is a model that I got this model quite a few years ago, I believe when I was around 18 years old, right when I was going into college, and it is considered a really good starter machine, but also it's just a good machine in general because it has multiple different functions. It is a decent price point, like I did not break the bank getting it, and it has multiple different functions. You just gotta change around some settings and you can do a rolled hem, you can do a nice surge, you can do all sorts of things. Great starter machine, but also a good machine in the long run. The second question along on this comment is, what are your thoughts on Tears of the Kingdom? Game of the year? So I'm actually filming this the day after the Game Awards happened, and I had a feeling this would happen, but Baldur's Gate 3 did take Game of the Year, and that did not shock me. I don't even play that game, and it has ended up on my TikTok For You page and just everywhere. And again, I haven't even played it. I watched my boyfriend play it, and I had a feeling it would take it because it's really made an impact on people. Tears of the Kingdom, meanwhile, I haven't played too much of it. I'm not very far into the story or anything. I'm mostly just goofing around on it because I have fun doing that. It does feel an awful lot like Breath of the Wild, but I like some of the improvements made. I like exploring in the caves. I like the Sky Islands, and I really like the new functions on like all the different like arm functions. Like I really like all that stuff. So I really enjoy it, but yeah, I knew it wouldn't be Game of the Year, unfortunately. Next up are the questions from my Facebook page. Question number 1 over here. In what ways did the WCS competition change or affect your perspective on cosplay as a whole? Y'all really went with the deep questions here. WCS really has changed my perspective a lot because it's not every day you get to meet people from all around the world. It's not necessarily the competition that changed all my perspective because of course it is something to actually get to witness that all behind the scenes and get to meet all the teams compared to watching it online every year. But it was really getting to meet all the cosplayers from all around the world that kind of changed perspectives on stuff. I don't want to get too much into it because this could be a very long, I could make an essay on this particular answer. It's made me realize that like, cosplay is experienced so differently amongst people, and in the end, it really is all just for fun, right? Like we always get so caught up in a mentality in competition settings sometimes, and even though we were in one of the biggest competitions you can be in cosplay, everyone was still just having fun, getting to know each other, and the best part was getting to meet all these people and just have fun. Like it changed so many perspectives and so few perspectives at the same time. It has changed some of my mentality towards competition in general as well, but that is again a whole other topic in itself. And it's also motivated me heavily. Was super inspired by everyone I met, and it was honestly truly humbling just to be there. My cats are yelling. The next question, what did you love the most from your trip to Japan? That's a hard question if it's just the trip to Japan or if you mean like the whole WCS experience as a whole. The best part was the people. That is the easiest answer there. I got to meet some amazing people, some amazing friends I can call them now, and we had a blast. I got to experience going to a new country while making these new friends. We bumped into each other, we met up with people. The people really make the event because of course WCS first of all is a cultural exchange before competition. The competition was an afterthought when they made this event originally. Trip stuff alone, if we don't want to count the people, everything about Japanese culture is so fascinating, and I've never traveled overseas at all, so getting to just witness the different culture and kind of just be there in person was really awesome. Another really hard-hitting question from Facebook. After competing in WCS, do you feel pressure to make high-quality cosplay? Yes. Oh my gosh. Now I'm officially WCS alumni, and yeah, that is a title, right? Meg and I have this new title to go along with all of our cosplaying experiences, and yeah, I do feel like people will be looking at my work and maybe nitpicking it a bit more, even if it's not a competitive piece. I feel like there might be more pressure on that kind of stuff. Part of me feels like that just might be some internalized anxiety. Yeah, there's definitely pressure, but I feel like a lot of it is all in my head. I don't actually feel like people are going to be like looking at my seams up close unless they're in a judging situation. I do feel like there'll be more expectations for me to make some bigger costumes and do some bigger things, but then again, WCS motivated me to try some bigger things, harder things, and all of that. So yeah, there's definitely a pressure there, and I'm gonna work on that. And the last question from my Facebook page, how to make a good panel in cosplay. Because I am planning one and I'm trying to cover as much as I can. I can make a whole panel on how to make a panel, to be honest, but the best thing to do is break down the topics that you're trying to work on. So if there are certain things you want to cover, make that little outline, make a slide for each one, for example, and then fill it in with the meat and potatoes, for example. Like, get your base ideas, maybe it's just one sentence, one thought, and then start to work in the details and such like that. It's kind of like working on an essay, to be completely honest. Why am I referencing essays so much in this video already? I have not written essays in years. And now we're on to the questions from Instagram, where I ask the little question sticker in my stories. So the first question is, what is your favorite part about being an artist? Now, this could again be another essay, because I have always been very, very artistic, but I like that everything can inspire me. Everything can give me ideas, right? When you're an artist of any kind, any format, whether it's painting, cosplay, performance art, things around you can inspire you on a whim. You never know where it's gonna come from, and I really enjoy that aspect. I also really enjoy that moment when you're working on something, whatever your art might be, and it works. You're at the point where you can start to see whatever you're working on coming to fruition. I find that part extremely satisfying. The next question comes from my girl, Sneaky Mimi. If we were to do a YouTube collab, what would you like to do together? I feel like we would have a lot of fun doing some kind of challenge or game or something like that. Like maybe something as simple as a Never Have I Ever cosplay edition, or even something a little bit more involved. Like both of us try to make like a cosplay in a day or something like a challenge of some kind, and then we have like our friends judge it, and I feel like it could be really fun, a little silly, and that just sounds like a lot of fun to me, to be completely honest. Next question, what was your first discovery of The Legend of Zelda? My first discovery was when I was a wee one, like 6, 5, very young. My grandparents, who lived across the street from me, from my childhood home, had a Nintendo 64 and a copy of Ocarina of Time, and that was so when all the kids, like the grandkids would come over, they could play with it. And yeah, my cousins and I played the heck out of that game. We weren't very good at it at the time, but you know, it was just so magical and all of that. So yeah, my first introduction was when I was just a little kid, very, very little. And obviously it had a very strong, lasting impact on me. I would not be where I currently am if it were not for The Legend of Zelda. This is your reminder in the middle of the video to like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. If you're not subscribed, most of you are not, be sure to subscribe down there. The next question, what's the biggest cosplay challenge you have ever had to overcome? I think the best answer I can give for this is preparing for the World Cosplay Summit in Japan. Wow, that was a lot. There is so much more that goes into preparing for the World Cosplay Summit than people think. There are so many forms to fill out, because of course you're also traveling internationally, passport information, all of that kind of stuff. They have to have travel information, and then there is so much detail that goes into your skits and stuff like that. You have to have certain audio files ready, you have to have video file ready, you have to have all the sources that you use to make those things. There is so much that goes in that has to be sent in by like June, so that if there's something that needs to be fixed, you can fix it in July before the event in early August. There I am at a job that I'm working 6 days a week, so like I'm 6 on, 2 off, and Megan is trying to finish up a semester of teaching because she's a high school teacher, and we have all of this stuff due. The group chat for the World Cosplay Summit 2023 was crazy at this point, because of course we're all feeling it. There's all of these deadlines, and again, in June. There's a reason why I would not want to do this every single year, because that was a lot. The next question, what is your favorite and your least favorite fabric to work with? So favorite, it's gonna be pretty obvious, I think, because I'm gonna have like 3 costumes in a row using the same fabric. I love working with linen. It's nice to sew. I like the texture of the fabric and working with it. And the costumes in the end up super comfortable, and they look nice. They look easy breezy, beautiful cover girl. So there's just so many pluses with that fabric. I also do like working with silk dupioni because again, it is a beautiful fabric. I love the texture and it works quite well. My least favorite is silk charmeuse. I did a full 5-piece collection for graduating fashion school with that. That was difficult. That stuff is like butter. It just moves around. It's so soft. So absolute nightmare to work with, but makes beautiful flowing garments. It's awful to work with. those so bad. The next question is, what is my favorite sewing or crafting technique? Which is hard because I like a lot of them. But honestly, my favorite thing to do is just sit down and hand sew, whether it's a slip stitch or whip stitch. They're so relaxing. I can do it mindlessly. I can do it while doing other stuff. I find slip stitching relaxing. I find hand stitching just a really nice like reset for my brain. If that's not obvious from some of my more recent videos and some of the videos that you're following very shortly. But as for like, if we want to go more into like, ooh, what's your favorite like real like technique? I love smocking. I actually really like smocking. I want to do some more projects that include different forms of smocking because I find it really interesting and satisfying. So I would like to do smocking again, but we'll have to see what kind of projects I decide to do in the future. The next question, do you have advice for cosplay competitions? Specifically the skit side of things, as many already cover the craftsmanship portion of things. Absolutely. Myself and Meg have actually done full panels on planning out cosplay skits and such, which, you know, an hour-long panel to plan a minute to 2.5 minute long skit, depending on what your format of your competition is, sounds like a lot, but honestly, the biggest piece of advice I have, and again, I want to make a whole video on this subject because I love skit planning. Plan a performance that inspires you and will leave some form of impact on the audience and judges. You want it to be memorable in some way. So if it's funny, make sure it's funny. If it's supposed to be epic, use a soundtrack that's really gonna like drive into the judges and audience's soul, right? The idea of a performance is to entertain. Plan out something, or if you have an idea, think to yourself, will this idea be memorable? Will the judges remember it? How will it make the audience feel? That should be the #1 thing. How will it make the people feel? And that is the short version of that answer. Again, this is the whole video I want to do. This question definitely inspired me to actually script out a video, which I'm currently working and planning on between some of my other planned uploads, but yeah, impact is the big thing. The next question is, what are your biggest inspirations in cosplay? I'm not sure if this person's asking about which cosplayers or artists inspire me, or what actually just inspires my cosplays in general. So I'm gonna answer for both. Cosplayers that inspire me the most, my friends, the people around me, the people I follow online, of course. Specific names though, the cosplayer that inspires me the most is Like Vox, because she was the first cosplayer I ever saw when I started using the internet, and her work just astounds me to this day. Beautiful, beautiful work. She cosplays from a lot of things I really love. Of course, she's known for her Legend of Zelda and Nintendo cosplays, so like, I'm all over that. As for things that inspire me, of course, it's the fandoms, the characters, and the people in the fandoms, and the people who cosplay the other characters. A character can really inspire me because I like the way they are, I like the way they dress, I like the story behind them, and that can really make me very passionate about a project sometimes. And a lot of times when I'm choosing a cosplay, some of the things that inspire me to choose certain characters or choose certain costumes is if I think I'm going to enjoy making that particular garment. Like the garments I'm working on right now for my Sekizo, oh my god, they are super fun to work on. I'm having a blast. This is a very fun project for me, and looking at the art, I had a feeling it would be because it has some historical reference with some fantasy mixed in there. And now we are at our last question for the day. Are there any techniques that you plan to learn or expand your knowledge on? Absolutely, as I'm always trying to learn new things in cosplay, but something I am really wanting to learn and I'm very interested in right now is leather crafting and leather work. My dad has done some work with the fur industry before, so I am very familiar with it. I've actually never done it. I have received some tools and some leather samples and such, and I just need a chance to actually try it and practice these techniques because I think it's a very interesting medium to work with. I am fascinated by leatherworking. I love the work that a bunch of my friends have done within the medium, and yeah, that is the one thing I really do want to learn soon. So that is it for the questions that I received. Thank you so much for everyone who submitted some questions, and sorry to those that I never got to because there were a lot of questions this year, and that didn't surprise me in the sake that I knew a lot of people would have questions regarding WCS and such, because obviously that was a big point of the year. As usual with these annual Q&As, the next video will be my year in review, where I talk about everything that happened month by month and talk about just what went on, how I felt about it, and basically just going over my year experience. And of course, this year is going to be fairly interesting. So look forward to that. I'm hoping to have it out on January 1st, hopefully. Thank you guys so much for watching this, submitting questions. Be sure to like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And I will see you in that video next time. See you guys later.